I think we're live now. Yeah, I think
Cool.
we are. We're live now.
All
Um,
right. Oh, I
yeah.
see people.
So thank you, Gwen, for joining. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
Um,
Glenn, good evening.
yeah. So here we go, Kathy, Sheila.
Or
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. On
evening or morning. I don't know. It's depends on what continent you're on.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. It's probably nighttime where everyone is.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
Donna. Alex, thanks again for joining. Alex has been before. Um, so for everyone who's now joining, I have a fellow Substack person on the phone called Craig Christ. That's how you pronounce it, isn't it? Craig
Well,
Christ. Yeah.
it's Craig Christ.
Oh,
You know
Craig Christ.
that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I sent you the song.
Yeah.
But it's not actually it's not my real name. Uh,
I know. I know. Yeah. So
it is
what is it?
a
I didn't get a chance to have a look at it. Why can you? Are you allowed to? Do you want to say it publicly or not? Why?
well.
Yeah.
So it's so okay. Yeah, so the song is it's a comedian from years ago, a guy named Stephen Lynch, and the song is about basically it's about Jesus's brother, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And how he
Yeah.
liked to party and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I won't get into all of it. Let's just
Yeah.
say I resembled I had long hair and a beard back in the day.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
You
and
look.
I
You look.
I
You look
drank
a bit like Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I drank a bit and I partied a lot. And
Okay.
one of my friends just kind of labeled me that before I had ever heard what the song was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's stuck. He still calls me that.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
I named this page essentially after that joke that he did. But
Okay.
the PhD is real.
The
It's just
PhD. Oh,
the
so
name's
yeah,
not.
you do have a PhD. So can I ask what you have a PhD in? Yeah.
Um, Essentially educational research, but statistics and
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
Um, my uh bachelor's is in physics. My master's is in physics, but
Yeah.
there was a math degree in there too somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, that kind of stuff.
That's what's up. Yeah. I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you because obviously we spoke together months ago. Um,
Yeah, it's been a
and then
while.
it's been a while, yeah. And
Yeah.
obviously you're in the I won't say where you are, but you're like in the south, aren't you, of the
Well,
US?
I mean, I'm not. I'll tell you. I'm not. I'll tell you. I'm in Mississippi. I'm not. I'm not
Mississippi.
that.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mississippi. So that's a
Yeah.
very that's a very red state, isn't it? Like Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. um, but I thought it'd be good to chat with you, just obviously because I know, like you've said it sort of publicly, that you have children who have autism. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously the RFK Junior thing, it might be interesting. Obviously, talk about Trump as well and things like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what were your feelings on when RFK Junior? Thanks for the love hearts, everyone. Um, what's your feelings on RFK Junior this morning? Just going to this one where he basically said that um, he found a connection between boys being circumcised or babies being circumcised and autism. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So when I saw it, the first thing I
yeah,
saw was just that, right? And it was
yeah,
like, I was like, well, that makes absolutely no sense because there's
yeah,
an entire separate gender, right? But I think what he was really trying to say was that it's like when a boy gets circumcised, he gets Tylenol, and that Tylenol just at the circumcision is what does it to him.
yeah,
Like, which I mean, there's about 1,000 other reasons you would give a child Tylenol.
yeah,
Um, that's not the only one.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and like beyond that, like in his statement, he went from saying, hang on, he said there was research that there was that circumcision was like the what double the percentage or something like. I don't know what
yeah,
he's saying half the time.
yeah, yeah,
But then
exactly. Yeah,
in that speech, he was like, and kids who get circumcised generally get Tylenol. That's
yeah,
immediately where he made his mistake
yeah,
because that part you just assumed something, right?
yes,
There's no reason to assume that that's true. I mean, you know, it could be, but you have no evidence for that part of it. Um, and then to connect the other two, And
Yeah.
like, and I can go back to the Tylenol thing just for a second too,
Yeah.
um, because I will tell you as a parent who's been interested in trying to figure some of this stuff out over time, that
Yeah.
Tylenol thing's been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's not news. It's not brand new.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that I was looking at when he threw it out the first time a few weeks ago, was from like the early 2000s, 2010 things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and the few studies that I found where people had actually like found any significant results, I think one of them that I saw somebody quoted to me,
Mm.
to tell me I was wrong.
Mm.
The result was that childhood Tylenol, it was like 2%. No, wait, let me see. So if I can remember it correctly, there was the confidence interval for the increase in the percentage
Yeah.
of children with autism based on whether they were given Tylenol was 1 to 3%.
Yes. Yeah.
So breathing could essentially give you autism at that point,
Yeah.
right? Like there's no reason that nothing around you could have caused that. Like
Yeah.
they do it's very often all they do is correlation equals causation, and that's never the case. And
Yeah.
there's about 1,000 different ways that you can correct for that.
Yeah.
Um, I actually wrote a thing that I haven't finished yet, that I
Yeah.
will be publishing soon. That's basically my whole Tylenol rebuttal. I just
Yeah. Yeah.
been busy.
Well, it's funny, Craig, you said that because I did a bit of a deep dive into the studies that they're looking at. So they're
Hmm.
basing it on a study that was done by someone from Harvard University. But the person, it wasn't actually, they tried to conflate. So if you watch Fox News and that, they were all, and Trump and RFK, they would say it was
Hmm.
based on a Harvard University study. And you heard that Joe Rogan said the same thing on his podcast. And
Yeah,
what I found that was the person who did a particular study was from had been to Harvard University before and did a study, but he wasn't actually from. It wasn't like a Harvard University study. And
yeah,
what the study was basically is it wasn't. They didn't do a. It wasn't. It was only basically a basic study with a small amount of people, and all the
hmm,
studies showed is that there was an increase of people who'd taken Tylenol, but they found no causation. Like they found no correlation between it, just a
yeah,
link. But the link, when they say a link, they don't actually mean that it means it's got it because they haven't. But what happened is in Denmark, they did, I think it was Denmark or Sweden. I think it was actually Sweden. They did actually a study of like millions of people. And
hmm.
on that study, what it did is they did a sibling study. So what they do is they basically make siblings.
Oh,
So
yeah,
because of the state, so that make it basically in the ones they did it in America, in New York, they did. So basically, it could have been environmental, because they're
hmm,
not taking into consideration people who are living in the same. They just assume everyone is living in the same place. Once
hmm,
the Danish or Swedish study, I think it was a correlation, they took in siblings. So what they basically said is, well, let's have a look at pregnant women who took Tylenol while they were pregnant because they use Tylenol over there, and if they had a sibling like a sister who also
hmm,
who didn't take Tylenol, what were the chances of each one having autism? And as soon as they applied that to the New York study or the person from Harvard, it
hmm.
completely went away. So so
Oh, yeah,
and the amount was something like 0.8. So when they actually put in the sibling study, which is like the gold standard, it actually
yeah,
actually took the whole thing away. So it didn't make any sense anymore. I think what
yeah,
RFK Junior does and what Trump does, well, RFK Junior more so, is they take studies that either have been debunked, were basically not peer reviewed, or that other people had gone looked at study. There were small studies because there are so many studies done all the time, and
yeah,
he and basically he will just cherry pick the worst studies that suit his narrative. And I
hmm,
think there's always a kernel of truth, and I mean a very, very small kernel of truth, to try to back up what he says. Like when he said the
yeah,
autism thing and circumcision, I knew in my
yeah,
head there would be something out there, like a tiny study. And when I looked
yeah,
for it, I found it. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
always a study that's been debunked. Like, of course, autism vaccine one? Was it
Well,
Andrew Wakefield thing? He was a
yeah,
British
no, yeah,
scientist.
that,
Yeah, the British scientist who, said that, and then of course it was completely debunked. But but these people become obsessed with that study. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
Well, let me jump in there real quick. So when it comes to what they're doing with those studies,
yeah,
right? So what you can do
yeah,
is it's very easy to take something that is complicated
mm,
and then try to write it as simply as possible, make as many assumptions as you want,
mm,
and leave out all of the interesting stuff, and
yeah,
then just make it say whatever you want it to say,
yeah,
right? So a lot of people accuse statistics of being the thing that does that, right?
yeah,
Like you can make stats say whatever you want. That's not, excuse me, that's not true.
yeah,
Stats are gonna stat. You get the same answer no matter what you do,
yeah,
right? What you can do though is take what the numbers say, and completely misinterpret it any way you want, so that
yeah,
you can then tell people whatever it is you want to tell them. And
yeah,
that's what they're doing. So like every single time they pull one of those studies, I immediately go look at it, and I'm just like, not at all what they were trying to do or what they were even talking about.
yeah,
Um, they just take one little tiny piece of it and they just run with it. So the
yeah,
circumcision thing, let me offer up a second option,
yeah,
right? So um if if okay, so for all the reasons or not reasons that you would or would not get your child circumcised,
yeah,
right? Most times they're going to be religious reasons,
yeah,
right? And so religions tend to run in families,
yeah,
right? If autism is genetic or
mm,
related to genetics in any kind of way, then
yeah,
those two things are going to be correlated.
yeah,
In statistics, it's called mediation, right? So where two things go up side by side, so they're going to look correlated, but that
mm,
doesn't mean that they actually are. It just
yeah,
means that there's something in between um, that's changing both of them, right? So one the example I used to use in my classes was like the oh geez, it was like the number of oh shoot, I can't remember. It was the number of TVs in a
yeah,
home and something else, and it's just it was all related to how much money you had, right? The
yeah,
more money a person has, the more TVs, the more stuff you're going to have,
yeah,
right? That
exactly.
doesn't mean that TVs is going to give you, a bigger house or something. I don't remember what the other thing was.
Mm,
Um, but and then um, uh, a friend of mine pointed something out about the vaccines just a few minutes ago,
mm,
because that I hadn't really thought of before.
yeah,
But when you okay, so humans are 99.9%, I think, alike in terms of DNA. I think the rest of it is
yeah,
the only part that we're different is the point 1% or whatever. And that
yeah,
makes what 8 billion some odd people,
yeah,
right? When you have vaccines for people, then people live, right?
yeah,
Life generates different kinds of people,
yeah,
right? The people who are, so sometimes people like trains,
yeah,
right? And so like, yeah, my kids are a little different.
yeah,
But like they're alive,
yeah,
so there are lots of people who are alive who are
yes,
very different. You wouldn't say they had autism, but
no,
you wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with them.
yeah,
And so um it's kind of the thing where you can correlate anything you want.
yeah,
It doesn't mean it actually means anything.
yeah,
And if you can pick it apart in 10 seconds, then they don't have much, there's not much left that they've got
exactly,
to
yeah,
it, right? Like, why not keep figuring out? I mean, like, look, if you want to say that environmental stuff has a
yeah,
relationship to autism, why aren't we even like, what about pesticides and herbicides,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
Because in
yeah,
one of those studies about Tylenol, right below Tylenol is Roundup, right?
yes,
And Roundup's been around for years.
yeah,
And so if we want to look, let's look at everything. Why do we focus on something like and it's just because they want to focus your attention on what they want it to be on,
yeah,
because they don't care about the truth. It's just
yeah,
about making money. They're
yeah.
all just stealing from us.
Yeah, and I think with RFK Junior, he already has those preconceived ideas about modern medicine. So anything
Hmm.
to do with modern medicine, unless it's like ivermectin, um,
Yeah.
but anything to do with that medicine, they try to find. it's like they have the idea, then they go looking for the study afterwards to try to match it. And there are
Yeah.
so many studies out there that you could find something, to match any preconceived
Yes.
idea that you have. And
Hmm.
I always find with people like RFK Junior kind of remind me of these old, and I think in America, probably not, people who were, hippies back in the day. Not every
Yeah.
hippie's like that, but you know what I'm saying. Like they're kind of
Yeah.
more alternative therapies, and
Hmm.
but at the same
I know.
time, that
I know those folks. I know those folks.
yeah, they kind of have this ironic thing where I remember I wrote a note once about this, and I remember going through Byron Bay once, which is like a famous kind of place in Australia. It's got a lot of bohemian people. It's on the beach. It's a lot of hippies. And I remember
Okay.
walking past years ago, and there was a guy who was like a hippie guy with dreadlocks playing guitar, and
Mhm.
he was smoking cigarettes, like the Rollie cigarettes, and he had like a can of whiskey and stuff, and he had a sign, like a cardboard sign that said, um, 4G causes cancer, chemtrails, only drink raw milk, all this sort of stuff. And yet he's
Yeah.
sitting there just smoking all day on his cigarette.
Yeah.
He's got like some marijuana there and he's got like whiskey. And it's like RFK Jr. reminds me of one of those people where he's like, he boasts about taking heroin, where
Yeah.
he said, oh, heroin made me do better in school, or and yet he's really obsessed with anything medical. To like, don't put, don't put vaccines into your body, but heroin's okay.
But heroin's gonna make you better in school. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what he
No,
said. Yeah, he said,
that's
oh,
not. Don't
yeah,
don't listen to them kids. That's not.
yeah, don't
That's not
listen
the
to
way
him,
to.
kid. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's not the way to do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
Oh,
no.
yeah. But yeah, no, they have this bizarre way of thinking that's not really rational. It's not a rational way of thinking. Um,
No.
yeah, it's like in some ways, or swimming, Trish, swimming in sewage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that where he was like talking about swimming in
Oh.
sewage? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, like he cut up a what? He cut up a whale with a chainsaw. I mean, normal people don't cut up
yeah,
whales with chainsaws. I don't.
yeah,
I've met a lot of people. I met a lot of people. Nobody I've ever met has cut up a
mm,
whale with a chainsaw or like tied a
yeah,
bear to their roof.
yeah,
Swam in the raw sewage water. Right.
yeah,
Suggested that raw milk was a good thing.
yeah. I
Um,
know. I
but
think
I mean, you could get
you know
raw
what?
milk around here. I wouldn't. I
Yeah,
wouldn't. I wouldn't suggest it if you wanna.
yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
I don't think there's anything wrong if someone wants to drink raw milk, but I think a lot of the things with RFK Jr.,
it's gonna make you sick as hell.
if he was just a normal person on the street, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, oh yeah, no worries. But when you're in charge of the like America's health,
Yeah.
it's like a completely different thing. Um,
100%.
yeah, and I think that's the problem that they've put them up as,
Oh,
but in a way, I feel like he's kind of for the MAGA movement, he's the perfect person because the MAGA movement was all about, COVID vaccines are bad for you. Ivermectin's good, put ivermectin
yeah,
on anything.
ivermectin, yeah.
Ivermectin will cure cancer. Ivermectin will do it. So in a
Yeah.
way, he was the perfect candidate for that movement. Yeah, I think.
There's no way, there's no, like, so, okay, I'm sorry, ivermectin, like, I remember years ago when that first
Yeah,
popped up, and
yeah,
on my Facebook, I see people talking about wanting to give horse parasitic medicine or horse
yeah,
anti-parasitic to their children
yeah,
to keep them from getting COVID.
yeah,
And, like, that was probably the point where I started telling people things on Facebook
yeah,
because I was like, "That is insanity."
yeah,
Um, it is not gonna do anything.
yeah,
Um, there's a thing called the placebo effect,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Where
Yeah,
when you just take medicine, it makes you feel better.
yeah,
That's all that is.
yeah,
How do I know? Because parasites and viruses are two different things.
yeah, yeah,
And you can't kill a virus
mm,
we can't really kill a virus anyway, but you
yeah,
can't kill a virus with an anti-parasitic medicine. That is
yeah,
not how it works. You can um pardon the crudeness, poop out your stomach lining from what I've heard.
yeah.
Um, but that's not gonna make the COVID go away. Just make you forget about it for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. The placebo effect is a big thing because
It's a real thing. Yeah.
whenever they do clinical studies, they always do like a placebo
Hmm.
They add placebo because because it's obviously so effective. The placebo effect is so powerful that whenever they do a
Yeah.
study, they'll have like a placebo controlled study as well, and that shows how. And I know myself because I grew up in the inner suburbs of Sydney, which is a very sort of alternative area. And I remember like my ex partner's mother was really into Reiki, and Reiki is where that thing where they just take away the bad. It's supposed to be the bad like powers away.
Yeah.
from your feet
Like
and stuff like
voodoo.
that. Yeah, like voodoo. It's a weird thing, but it's very trendy in the suburbs and things like that. Reiki, and I
Okay.
remember like I twisted my ankle once, and my girlfriend's mother, she'd just done a 6-week course because she just retired, and she did a 6-week Reiki course. And we're in a coffee shop, and in a public coffee shop, she says, "Oh, I noticed you got a bit of a limp." And I said, "Yeah, I twisted my ankle playing sports." And she said, I can get rid of that. And so she put my leg on top of the table in a coffee shop, and she just started like doing this, like not actually,
Yeah.
there was no touching at all, just taking the bad spirits away from my ankle. And
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh my god, like, this is crazy." But I had to like feel afterwards. She said, that should be fixed by now." And because it's my ex-girlfriend's mum, I sort of played along with it, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's."
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying not to like
Thanks.
limp as I walked away. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if it made you feel better at all, it's probably just because you elevated your foot for a minute. All the blood went away for a
No,
second.
yeah, but I didn't feel better at all in the slightest.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
I
course not.
I wasn't buying into it though, but I could
Yeah.
imagine if someone did buy into that, they might feel better for 5 minutes because, I do know that with pain, it can be a mind thing as well. So,
Yeah.
you know
Well, I mean, like, I mean, to take it full circle, right? It's Trump, right? Everything he tells you is just a placebo. Well, it's a sugar pill, right? It's all just what you want to hear, so that he can go along with doing whatever it is that he's doing, and
Yeah,
hope you don't care. And he's
yeah,
gonna keep feeding you all the same stuff until you get wise to it. And then once you figure out that medicine's not working, we'll just give you another one,
yeah,
right? Like that's all he's doing. That's all he's
yeah,
been doing for years. Um, as a person who's been around it for way too long,
yeah,
um, uh, and dealt with it with his dad before too long ago.
yeah,
Um, it is it is it is something I figured out a long time ago that I don't know why anybody else had figured out.
yeah,
2 weeks doesn't mean anything, right?
yeah,
And most
yeah,
of the stuff he says now definitely doesn't mean anything.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Trump and the whole science thing, um, is basically, I used to think that Trump was making it up, like that he didn't really believe it. But I actually wrote an article about a month ago, and I did a bit of a deep dive into Trump and anti-vaccines, and he's actually been curious about being anti-vax for quite a long time, like 20 or 30 years. Um,
Yeah,
and I didn't know that, but Andrew Wakefield, who was the guy he's like the godfather of the anti-vax autism movement, um,
yeah,
who's now lives in America, and he lives
mhm,
in America, and he's married to an ex-Australian supermodel called Elle Macpherson. She was like a big supermodel in the 80s and 90s, um,
okay,
and and they live in America together. And I think it was 2015 or no 2016, the year that Trump started running,
mhm,
and basically Trump went to one of his sort of he was doing a speaking tour, and
mhm,
he spoke to Andrew Wakefield afterwards. So this is way before RFK Junior and all that. And Andrew Wakefield said to someone afterwards, he said, "Oh, he's one of us." Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so it's I think a lot of I think Trump does kind of believe it to some extent. Like it's not just a grift for him. I think he actually does believe some of this stuff, and it wouldn't surprise
yeah,
me. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I don't. So here's the thing. I'm sorry. Here's the
mm,
thing with Trump is like I have no idea what he actually believes.
yeah,
Because like it's so hard to get past whatever it is that he's talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
I mean, like I could say you could ask me a question and I
yeah,
could answer it. I could tell you exactly how I feel about it. And
mm,
if you ask him a question, he's going to tell you seven different things that have nothing to do with the even the question that you asked him. And as
yeah,
time has gone along, it's gotten a lot worse.
yeah,
And like now it's really bad.
yeah,
But back then, what you're talking about though, like right as he started to run, that sounds about right. And I bet it's maybe, he has no like internal principles or like and so he knew where the people were that he had to go after if he
yeah,
was going to pull any kind of win of any kind.
mm,
And that's one of the groups that was going to do it.
yeah,
Because we like people like us,
mm,
they're not they're we're going to be like, okay, measles is bad.
yeah,
I kind of don't care about, like this, the vaccines cause people to live.
yeah,
I'd rather people be alive than have
yeah,
measles.
yeah,
Um, and so, you're never going to get convince those people, but you'll be able to convince the other. And then if you can convince them of that, you can convince them of a lot of other stuff. And
yeah,
that's all he's done is he's just
mm,
taken over the conversation and just
yeah.
cracked
Yeah,
his brain out on the world.
yeah, I've kind of changed my mind on Trump in terms of I used to think because the way I used to think about Trump is okay, he's an older man who grew up in an affluent family. His parents sent him to good schools, and he probably didn't do a lot of study, but at least he was around a lot of that. But
Yeah.
I actually think about Trump and the way he talks and over the years and stuff, I actually think a lot more of it is he's actually really stupid. Yeah. I actually think
Yeah.
he's a lot more stupid than I gave him credit. And it's not that I ever thought he was a genius or anything. It's just that I thought it was near impossible for someone who had that many opportunities. Again, this isn't like
Mhm.
his supporters. Like if it was one of his supporters who grew up in a poor family and left school when they're 14 and all that, I totally understand like why they would think a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Because they
Yeah.
had the but Trump is the opposite. He's had like every advantage that anyone could have he grew up in New York. He was around smart people to some degree. He was well educated. He spent
Yeah.
2016 to 2020 being around Fauci and other scientists and stuff like that. But I actually think that Trump has this thing where you can be successful. And I've met people like this. I've met people like this in Australia who like
Mhm.
Trump and they're successful.
Oh,
They're not as successful as Trump, but they do well. But they weren't well educated, but they made their money through sales. They were either in real estate or
mhm.
they were very good at sales. And you don't have to be really good at
Yeah.
sales you don't have to be a genius to be good at sales. You can just have a good instinct for how to talk to people. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes people confuse that with intelligence, like how much money you have well, you have to be intelligent, but you can be smart with real estate or you can be good with knowing people in sales and things like that. And
Yeah.
I've met a lot of these people throughout the years, and they kind of gravitate towards Trump and they love him. And they also have the same views as him about vaccines, and they don't trust
Mhm.
the government and they don't trust medicine. And they're like affluent people who've got access to good doctors, and yet they will do the most unscientific things. Like I knew people who refused to take the COVID vaccine. They were like friends of my parents who
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they had a lot of money and they're like, I'm not taking that vaccine. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
these people are rich. They're like, they're around other rich people, but they're
Mhm.
not rich in that they're not affluent because they didn't become affluent because they did well at university or they did that. They got affluent because they were just good at sales. So,
Yeah.
um, I do
Yeah.
believe Trump actually believes a lot of this stuff. I think
Yeah.
I'm more skeptical about RFK Junior to some degree because he might have believed it, but then he went
Yeah.
down this where he was captured by his audience. Do you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
RFK Junior has basically built years and years of building an audience that love his anti-establishment stuff. So if he
Yeah.
was that at some way along the line, if he was to go, actually, it's all wrong, what would happen to him is he'd lose all his audience, his following and all that. So
Mhm.
yeah, with Trump,
Yeah,
that
his
doesn't matter.
livelihood's built on that.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right. Yeah, yeah,
well, look, so
yeah.
so I I got a couple of my
Mm,
friends. We go and do like we go to concerts, a lot of stuff together. It's like a little group, just a few of us. And I've recognized something about the three of us in that just basically the way that we think about different things and the way that
mm,
we are smart about different things, right? So none of
mm,
us what I call uh, stupid in any way, right?
yeah,
But everybody's kind of good at something different,
yeah,
right? And so for example, one of my friends does real estate stuff,
mm,
um, and he's really good at planning,
yeah,
right? Like he if it, I would do nothing basically, I would just run into walls over and over again because I can't do that.
yeah,
I'm essentially the one I think who is the book smarts guy.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
when you need to answer a random question,
yeah,
I can probably do that. And then my third friend um, is the guy who I think is the more emotional intelligent guy,
yeah,
and that is the only thing I would give Trump, but it's not in the same way at all.
yeah,
So my friend's like the nicest guy in the universe, but
yeah,
he's also can walk into a room and he's never been in a room he was uncomfortable in, right?
yeah,
Which is basically the story of my life at this point.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but that's how Trump is. He's very confident in himself.
yeah,
However, that confidence is completely misplaced because none of it he has absolutely nothing to back it up. The only thing he's ever had to back it up is essentially bravado. And so
yeah,
all he does is double down on everything. So
yeah,
it's a different type of manipulation of that type of intelligence, I
yeah,
would say. Um, but when it comes to like book smarts,
yeah,
the dude doesn't know how a battery works.
yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah,
like we gotta go way, way back to like seventh grade science
yeah,
for him to start kind of catching up to where he should be in that case.
yeah,
He unfortunately is really good at freaking playing people.
yeah,
And that's what he's done his entire life, and now it's just done it to everybody.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I remember when he said that batteries die when they touch water.
yeah,
Um, it's just he's
you can't see me shaking
he
my head, but I'm just shaking my head.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, he
yeah,
said something stupid, but this is the thing. Like, I used to think he'd said that stuff on purpose, but now I'm pretty
some
convinced
of
that
it.
he believes that he's actually really that
Yeah,
stupid, which is
yeah,
which is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know which is quite an amazing thing to watch as an Australian, to watch RFK Junior, like the guy in charge of health, and then the president of the United States next to him, and RFK Junior talking about autism and children being circumcised, and that's and then taking Tylenol, and then that's the
Yeah,
reason why autism is happening, and then
yeah.
having the president next to him, just yeah, that makes sense. That
Just to,
and
yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
that sounds right.
Why don't we inject some bleach in it and shine some light on it? Or,
Because whenever I see that, I straight away go, first thing I think is, okay, my prime minister, which is like your president, I
mhm,
imagine them doing that. I imagine him having a press conference and then the health minister also being there and then saying exactly the same thing. And it just wouldn't happen. Like it would be front page news for the 3 weeks. They would probably both lose their jobs. It would
yeah,
be total chaos.
rightfully so.
But in America, it was like a blip. It was like,
Yeah.
let's move on to
Oh,
the next.
oh,
Let's move on to the
yeah.
next.
It's so ridiculous here.
Yeah,
Like by the time I've recognized that one thing has happened or one stupid ridiculous thing has been said, there's another
yeah,
like three other stupid ridiculous
y-
things
yeah,
that have happened, and I had told my like last week I told my wife I was completely out of outrage. Like,
yeah,
I just can't. I don't think I can. There's no more upper limit at this point. I'm pretty much as pissed off about all of it as I can be. What the
yeah,
hell am I supposed to do about it?
yeah,
Um, the people who should be fixing things
yeah,
are the ones who are basically making it worse.
yeah,
And then like uh, you know, th- when you so I wrote a thing about how they're basically all just depressed because that's all
Yeah.
they do is do all these different type of depressive behaviors.
Yeah.
But it's like we have to deal with all their mental health problems.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like I just want you to leave me alone so I can have a job and
Yeah.
like go out on the weekends,
Yeah.
go see some movies. I want to go see a Marvel movie and take my kid to go watch dinosaurs and trains.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to have to worry about some ice guy going down the street pointing a gun at me or shooting a
Yeah.
priest in the head with a rubber bullet or like
Yeah.
what like
Yeah.
in what universe was that ever an acceptable thing?
Yeah.
So my dad was a big Trump guy, which I
Yeah.
never understood, and I've argued with him
Yeah.
forever about it.
Yeah.
And like I'm glad that he didn't see him get reelected, because
Yeah.
had my dad followed this crap like it was going,
Mm.
um, I would have probably completely cut him off and just not talk to him anymore right before he died.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he at least listened to me to an
Yeah.
extent, but it's there's they're experts in things for a reason.
Yeah.
um, I didn't, I spent 20 years learning math and physics, so lots
Yeah.
of other people didn't have to.
Yeah.
Um, um, and so, let trust me when I tell you I don't like to be wrong at math problems.
Yeah.
And so if
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something about it,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the best answer that I can. And that's basically how science is.
Yeah.
Scientists, we don't have agendas. Our agenda is we don't like to be wrong. We're going to
Yeah.
try to be as right as we can all the time. And
Yeah.
if you ever stick us in a room with one another, you won't believe how much we will actually fight. It
Yeah.
is it is like that is the one thing I think no one ever sees is
Yeah.
that you stick 20 scientists in a room and you've got 17 different arguments.
Yeah.
And most of them and they all have evidence. And
Yeah.
that's like and
I don't know.
it's just the way that we work. And nobody's angry about it. Right? We everybody wants to figure out the right answer, and that's how you
Yeah.
do it. By
Yeah.
figuring out all the wrong answers first.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
Ye
it's just the whole entire concept of
mm.
how things work is lost on these people.
Yeah.
Um, and so they just yell about stuff
Yeah, I think,
and
like, it's funny, like, because you said that, it reminded me of, like, people like Joe Rogan during COVID and saying, like, "You can't trust established science, just, you can't trust this." And the way they would argue the point is they would say, "Well, I have people on my show on," Joe Rogan talk about having these people on his podcast who were like, "The mRNA vaccines are bad for you," and all this sort of stuff, is they would argue the fact that established science, in a way, doesn't it's everyone agrees with each other. That was kind of the impression they gave to everyone.
oh my
But it
god, yeah,
it was like they didn't understand what a peer reviewed study was. The whole idea of a peer reviewed study is that other scientists come in and look at those
hmm
studies and then go,
yeah,
"I like that, I don't like that, I like that." And I think a lot of it is that I don't actually understand how it
very,
works.
very,
They assume that they're all thinking the same
yeah,
thing and that nobody's disagreeing with each other. I really think that's how they think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so let me dispel that myth. First
Yeah.
of all, in those peer reviews, from what I've heard, very rarely is it "I like this." Usually,
Yeah.
it's "This doesn't look right." Something
Yeah, exactly.
like,
Yeah.
and so like they're not reviewing it so that they agree. They're reviewing it to see if you screwed up.
Yeah.
Um, then the other thing, and this is just a personal story from my history. I remember a time where I was given a presentation about some research that I was doing.
Yeah.
It was at a particle accelerator,
Yeah.
and I'm standing in front of these people after a summer project. There's 15 students, 30 physicists who led all of
Yeah.
us who were all in groups, and I'm
Yeah.
talking, and I got to this slide, and I paused for a second, and a guy asked me a question, and I tried to answer it, I really did,
Yeah.
and I didn't, I was younger, and it was a tough question.
Yeah.
And then the other guy around on the thing was like, "Well, what if it's this?"
Mm.
And for 15 minutes, four guys in the room had an argument while I just stood there and waited
Yeah, okay.
because I
Yeah.
wasn't going to interrupt them.
Yeah.
They were trying to do stuff. like
Right. Yeah.
all it takes is put them in a room and they'll start arguing.
Yeah.
It's because it's all about like maybe it's this, maybe it's this, and you just keep trying it until you figure
Yeah.
it out. But like there is never a situation where modern science where they agree with one another. It is usually quite the opposite.
Yeah.
If you find two who can't agree with each other before they ever do anything,
Yeah.
that's rare. That's rare.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you that I would imagine nobody agrees with my ideas except for the people I've
Yeah.
my friends. My friends agree with them, but they're not physicists. Um,
Yeah.
and so, but that's fine. Uh,
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
they're all wrong and I'm right,
I
whatever.
noticed a big shift in how people looked at because I remember back in the 90s, you would
Mhm.
have in a group of friends, you would have maybe one or two people who were into conspiracy theories and they were very like, watching Alex
Yeah,
Jones, whatever, that sort of stuff. I feel like
yeah.
that one person in a big group is now like half the people or close
Well,
to half the people now. It's like
yeah.
they would be embarrassed back then to say some of the things that they thought about in like a
Mhm.
job environment or something. Not that they would get fined, but they'd be like, "Oh, people are gonna judge," you know what I mean? Now it's like
Yeah, yeah.
now
People
it's
would
like
have
if
laughed at
you
it.
talk about science or medicine, like like in sort of like a more establishment way, you're now to some degree considered like, oh, so you believe all that, do you? It's like they laugh at you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
I feel
They
like
think they. I get called fancy for having letters at the end of my name, and I'm
right,
like,
yeah,
I kind of I've worked a little bit hard for those letters. I'm gonna
yeah,
post them there.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, yeah,
and it's the kind of thing where it's if you don't know, like if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I
yes,
will tell you. I won't, but if I do, like
yeah,
I'm not going to tell you I know the answer and then lie to you.
yeah,
That's not,
yeah,
that's just not how it works.
yeah,
What purpose would that serve? Like, because again, we don't like to be wrong.
yeah,
Right? So if you come back and tell me I'm wrong, like, and there are times when, like I make mistakes. I've
yeah,
especially if I'm typing something fast on Substack or just in
yeah,
general, I'm not afraid to make mistakes.
yeah,
Sometimes my brain doesn't always work like it should.
yeah,
You get old.
yeah,
But yeah, in the '90s, if you said any of this stuff,
yeah,
no, like people would literally just laugh in your face.
yeah,
Like we thought it was funny because
yeah,
it kind of is.
yeah,
It would be if they didn't have any power. But
yeah, oh,
now, it's like social media just it okay, so what happened is social media just gave them a megaphone.
yeah,
It just gave the loudest, dumbest people a megaphone,
mm,
and now we can't turn it off.
yeah,
Um, because some they just I mean, there was a time when the news on the television had to be facts.
yeah,
And it
mm,
wasn't just wasn't you that was talking about that the other day?
yeah,
Where
it
everything's
was,
turned
yeah,
into
like
opinion? Didn't I
in
just see
my
that?
Yeah, in my Substack live yesterday, I was
Yeah.
saying how it was basically how if you go back to pre Rupert Murdoch days,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
he's obviously probably how he sounds. He sounds a little bit like me, Aussie, ex Aussie,
Yeah.
not anymore.
Yeah.
And he basically started the whole opinion thing. When
Mhm.
before then, before Fox News, you would pick up like you would watch news, and 90% of it was straight news, and then you'd have like a
Yeah.
little bit of opinion, and it would be in the same in the newspapers. Most of the newspaper was like straight news, and then there'd be a little
Yeah.
bit of the opinion was the side bit. It wasn't the main bit. Now it's flipped.
Yeah.
Now it's all
Yeah.
opinion with a little bit of straight news. But no, if you watch like even Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, the ratings for the straight news part is insanely low, and the
Mhm.
ratings for the opinion part is really big. So obviously,
Yeah.
someone like Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes and all they cared about was ratings. So they
Mhm.
pushed the
Yeah.
opinion bit, and that to me was like a precursor to social media in a way because
Yeah.
it showed to a lot of people that people fighting with each other is good for audiences. And
Yes.
that's the same way the algorithms work. More people fight with each other, the more if and that's I think one of the reasons
Well,
why science is losing. I think
yeah.
science is losing because science to some people just sounds boring and
Yeah.
it's too complicated for them to understand. And it's
Yeah.
much easier to understand Joe Rogan trying to give his version because he sounds like
Mhm.
a monkey. Just he sounds like an average person giving their opinion, and he doesn't have to base it on facts. He can just base it on that, and that's easy. It's more palatable. It's more palatable for people to understand Joe Rogan than it is to understand an actual scientist.
Yeah,
And that actual
yeah,
scientist has to worry about what they say because they don't want to say something that is not right. Joe Rogan
yeah,
can just freestyle and just say whatever he wants, and that can seem more authentic to some people because he's
yeah,
not being. There's no guardrails for him as there are guardrails for a scientist. So if you put a scientist next to Joe Rogan, I can see why some people are like, "Oh, that sounds more interesting." And
yeah.
conspiracies generally do sound more interesting than the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why they
So
exist, right? Because
yeah, exactly.
if it was true, if
Yeah,
it's the truth, well, then
yeah,
everybody would know it,
yeah,
and B, if it wasn't an interesting conspiracy, nobody'd be interested in it.
exactly.
Um, but so here's the thing with that,
Yeah,
um, is that like like I said, it's good for the argument amongst all the scientists. That's good.
yeah,
That brings it, but you have to start from a place of understanding what the heck it is you're talking about,
yeah,
right? So if you're going to go in there as Joe Rogan and start talking about vaccines,
yeah,
well, freaking go read some stuff about vaccines. Go learn how it works. Go see what's
yeah,
in it. Go see the stuff that they're going to talk about and see if it makes any sense to you, or find somebody who does,
yeah,
right? There's plenty of people. I won't say that I could explain everything, but
yeah,
I, spent my life as an educator for the most part. I like to explain things as simple as possible,
yeah,
right? If I can tell you something in a way that you can understand, that's
yeah,
good. And that's what I'm going to try to do. And there are people who can do that. All right. If Joe Rogan can't do it and his guest isn't going to, is a one guest, you find somebody who can, so that
yeah,
you can at least all understand this is what is true and real. And this
yeah,
is where the debate is,
yeah,
right? The debate's not over whether vaccines cause autism.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that crap don't happen, right?
yeah,
The guy you were talking about, he literally faked all that data, right?
yeah,
And for years that was the only, and that's that, and now it's just only exists because of that, right? But
yeah,
again, it does cause life, and so
yeah,
life essentially causes autism,
yeah,
and so you get that same run through. So you've got to be able to accept where the debate is, right? When
yeah,
they say something like mercury's in the vaccines,
yeah,
no, it's not. It's a mercury compound,
yeah,
right? Well, if it's well, that's got mercury in it. Well, sodium has salt has sodium and chlorine in it,
mhm,
right? Sodium blows up if it touches water.
yeah,
Chlorine is essentially mustard gas, right?
yeah,
Can't have the two apart. Put them
yeah,
together, eat it all the time. It's not the
yeah,
same thing, right? They're not. And so, like, just because mercury's in it doesn't mean it's bad. It
they're
just
bad.
means
Yeah,
it's an element. It's an element of something that's in what's in there. And that's and like until you can start from a place where you understand what those things mean, then
yeah,
the end result is always going to be something crazy that doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
Because then you're just guessing.
yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. And I was
yeah,
thinking the other day, like what like obviously social media plays a part in this. I think things got worse during COVID. Um,
yeah,
but I think
absolutely.
for me, I think a lot of this started in America more so because of going back to the war in Iraq and weapons of mass destruction, where
Mhm.
people after that, after they thought they were lied to, they stopped believing that. Like, if you look at the polling, the trust in government after that was the lowest ever, and trust
Yeah,
in establishment was also at an all time low. So I kind of
yeah,
feel like that played a bit of a part in it as well, even though it seems like far away. Because a lot of people like Joe Rogan and the people in that podcast world, they were actually radical. They will say themselves that they were radicalized by the weapons of mass destruction thing. That's when they
yeah,
decided to stop believing in all this stuff and things like that. So you have that, and
yeah.
you
That was a big
have
thing back then.
yeah, and then I think Joe Rogan and other people started becoming a bit more normal after that. Like after a while, they started having more because he for a while there he was actually pro-vaccine and all this. He was having like normal people on, Neil deGrasse, all these people on there, and then COVID
Yeah,
happened, and then they went back to their the conspiracy world. It's like they came in, so it was always there, but it's like COVID just took them back there, and then they
yeah,
started believing all this thing where they started thinking every mistake that someone made in government was not a mistake; it was a conspiracy. So
Yep.
when Joe Biden said, "If you take the vaccine, you won't get COVID," he obviously misspoke, but
Yeah.
they repeated that over and over again, and it didn't
Hmm.
matter that was he changed his mind. He said the wrong thing. Afterwards he said, "Oh, sorry, I misspoke." They took
Yeah.
every little mistake and they turned it into a conspiracy, like this big, thing. But if you look at the whole, and of
Yeah.
course, when you have a new virus, you're going to make
Hmm.
mistakes. But it's like
Yeah.
any mistake was basically, well, this is proving the fact that you're wrong. And then afterwards, years later, they would say, well, Joe Rogan was right about everything, and Fauci and all that. It's like it's
Yeah.
so maddening to listen to
Yeah.
because
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So let me offer you up a counterexample because you made
mm,
me think of something
yeah,
about misspeaking.
yeah,
So look, 2017, 2018, I don't know.
yeah,
At some point in hurricane season, Trump made a tweet
yeah,
about all the states that were going to be impacted by the hurricane, right?
yeah,
And just miraculously switched out Georgia and Alabama. Now,
yeah,
being from the South, that
yeah,
happens. They all kind
yeah,
of look the same, right?
yeah,
I don't blame anybody for that. All
yeah,
he had to do was say, "Oh, I didn't mean
mm,
to say that. I meant
yeah,
to say Georgia." Right?
yeah,
That was it. All he had to do was edit the thing, and
yeah,
everybody would have accepted that,
yeah,
right? It was a perfectly fine thing to do. We
yeah,
get, I have seen on TV them call Mississippi the landmass between Louisiana and Alabama. Whoever
yeah,
was working that day just didn't even know what the state's name was, right?
yeah,
It's fine. We don't
yeah,
we we don't really care all that much,
yeah,
right? But instead of just being like, I misspoke,
yeah,
he had a press conference and a Sharpie and he drew on a weather map and
yeah,
told everybody he was right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that
Double down.
was like
Yeah,
7 years ago.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like if like you can't have a conversation with that. Like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
just you got it wrong. It's cool. We don't
yeah,
care.
yeah.
Just
I know.
say it. Just say it. Like accept it.
Yeah,
But it's and
yeah,
that's how they are. They
yeah.
do not
You're
they
right.
refuse to even accept the premise of that facts exist or real life
Yeah,
exists. They want
yeah,
their reality to exist, and then
yeah.
they just go from there.
Yeah, you're right because this is the thing. Like, if during COVID, like an establishment person was saying, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake about that," that would be then used against them because they admitted
Yeah,
they made a mistake or something
yeah,
changed. Right?
yeah,
But
yeah. Fauci all the time.
someone like Trump never admits that he makes a mistake. So to a lot of these people who have brain rot, like the MAGA peanut brains, they
Yeah,
think that someone admitting that they made a mistake and then correcting it is worse than someone not admitting they made a mistake at all.
yeah,
It's a very childish way to look at things, you know.
yeah. It's the only way you learn things is by making mistakes. Right? I tell my
Exactly,
students that all the time. Right?
exactly.
All of my
Yeah.
students clearly students get upset about grades. Right?
Yes.
And I understand that, you know.
Yeah.
But also like I don't I will say don't really care about grades. I care that you learn stuff from me when you're in my class,
Yes.
right? And so you're gonna make mistakes on things. The only way to learn things is to make mistakes. Right? I can't sit down behind the drums and play everything perfect 100% of the time. I got to
Yes.
practice it, right? Same thing with any other instrument, anything else that you do. Right?
Yeah.
You don't start by knowing everything, right?
Yeah.
You start by knowing I want to do this, and then you
Yeah.
do it. And you
Yeah.
screw it up about 1,000 times before you figure it all out.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing is you can never admit that you're wrong about anything. You
Yeah.
can't ever learn anything and you'll never change. You'll just keep repeating the same thing. And look at what Trump does. That's all he does is he just keeps
Yeah.
repeating the same process over and over again because
Yeah.
he can't flat out say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was wrong. Tariffs are
Yeah.
dumb. Tariffs didn't work." Right? No, well, let's just do more tariffs. That'll fix it. Like what like no, no, just just
Yeah.
say you named the wrong state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like just that's
Yeah.
it. That's all you gotta do. It's
Yeah.
it's really easy.
Yeah.
People will respect that more, right? Than
Yeah.
they will you just lying to their face when they can tell something is up. Like,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
that Trump has done so much damage to America, but I think one of the
yeah,
things that's probably not like the top things is how he's kind of normalized lying and he's normalized just
Yeah.
saying outrageous things. And I mean, people back in the day in America during the primaries, they would lose the primary because they just they said the wrong thing, or
Yeah.
it was like really mild. And now
Yeah.
Trump can do 100 things times a day, but now it doesn't matter what anyone could do. I mean, I guess the only positive thing for the Democrats is they don't have to really worry about who the past or the next person is going to be, because
Yeah.
people pass. I think to some degree, if a Democrat were to come along who maybe had a bit of a sketchy past, I don't think people would care anymore. So in that
Nope.
respect, you don't have to be, the perfect candidate anymore in terms of your history. You could have
Yeah.
cheated on your wife or your husband, or you could have had an alcoholic problem. I don't think people care about that stuff anymore. Um, but he's pushed it to the limit of they don't even care about whether someone is corrupt anymore.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it's just become a free for all. Um,
All I know is if they're handing out 50 bags of $50,000 in cash, like
yeah,
I'll take one. I'll take one.
yeah, like
Well,
Tom Hooman, like that guy, like he's
thank God.
basically he hasn't denied he took the $50,000.
No.
In my opinion, I think Trump, when he found out about that, he would have thought he's perfect for our team. Like, it's
Yeah.
that probably helped him get the job. They might have
Mhm.
been thinking 50-50, and that just got him across the line. They were like, that's exactly what we do here. They need
Well, I
someone,
mean,
that has no
you can,
scruples.
yeah, you can guarantee that almost all of them have something up,
Yeah,
right? Like if you dig a little deep, there's something because you can't like I don't understand a person who can lie like that every
yeah,
single day
yeah,
without trying to hide something for themselves.
yeah,
Right? Like I could if I was trying to hide something from somebody,
yeah,
right? I would lie about it, but it'd be for me, right? I
yeah,
wouldn't be lying about it for somebody else all the time.
yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe I lie for a minute for somebody else, but when your lies start getting crazy,
yeah,
there's going to be a point where but like it makes me feel like every single one has got something that
yeah,
they're trying to keep other people from finding out about. It's just like
yeah,
some kind of like thing that it's either some criminal thing or it's just some really, deep insecurity thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
which either way, not my problem. It's
yes,
like stop rubbing your problems on me.
yeah,
Um, like oh my God. Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
It is, because I think, like, I I I I just I wonder, like, what's going to happen when Trump disappears, like when he either passes away or whatever happens.
strokes out
Is
on TV.
Yeah, just very self out to me, is that
Yeah,
I think I think there will be changes in the MAGA party, in the Republican Party, because I do feel like there are people there who don't like him in the
yeah.
Republican Party, but they're just
Well,
playing
clearly,
along because they're too scared to go against him. Um,
which doesn't make any
but
sense.
yeah, it's a very weird situation. Like, I I hope, this is just me being hopeful, is that if he becomes more unpopular, then more people in his own party might push against him, and
Yeah,
he might lose a little bit of power. I don't know if
yeah,
that's possible, but he's like a lame duck president, so
yeah.
there's less reason to, stick, to be by
Well,
him. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I mean, his cognitive functioning is
yeah,
subpar at this point. I mean, when there are things the speech at the Naval Academy where
yeah,
he wrote a letter to Bin Laden about Bin Laden and told Hegseth about it. And,
yeah,
I mean, what? Like like
yeah,
okay, Joe Biden had trouble getting words out. He got a
yeah,
little confused sometime. I don't know
yeah,
who gave him Ambien or whatever it was before the
yeah,
debate, if that
yeah,
actually happened. I'm
yeah,
I'm gonna say it did because your man sounded drugged up.
yeah.
But he didn't sound like that all the time.
No,
And he sure as heck wasn't talking about imaginary letters to imaginary people. And while I know there was some truth to the letter he was talking about writing, in no way was it what he was talking about.
yeah,
And it did not come across that way.
no.
So, like, if you're taking anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
so
I agree. Like, I think
yeah,
the difference between to me, the big difference between Biden and Trump is that Biden never said things like, "I want to invade Greenland.
Yeah.
He didn't
He
do
never
crazy.
invaded Chicago.
Yeah, but Chicago or LA, or he never did these
Portland.
crazy tariffs. He just says and does so many crazy things. With Biden, it was more like he can't communicate properly anymore. He wasn't a great
Okay.
communicator. Um,
Yeah.
and and I
Yeah.
think that,
Yeah. No,
and I,
he had a stutter.
yeah,
He's got a stutter.
yeah. And look,
Um,
I think, in my opinion, I think he should have stepped aside after, because I think he was a fantastic one-term president, and
yeah.
I think he should have stepped, because this day and age with social media, being a communicator is like your top job as a president to some degree.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
but no one ever said behind the scenes that people said, "Oh, he was tired." And he was this, and I agree that probably wasn't a good reason. That was probably a good enough reason for him to step aside. But no one behind the scene ever said he was saying he wants to invade Greenland, or he wants to
Yeah.
annex Canada, or he wasn't
Yeah.
saying
We're
like,
taking over
yeah,
troops and sending troops everywhere.
with
Yeah.
Trump, it's like
Because
it, it's not
of
just
an
what he's
imaginary organization.
yeah, matching association, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
So,
he's doing all the crazy stuff. It's not just
yeah.
that he's forgetting,
Well,
like the
I don't
fact that
think it's
yeah,
I mean, I don't think that's him so much as he's just fine with going along with it because in his
yeah,
head, that's what he thinks is real. Like, I
yeah,
think it's everybody else doing all the crazy stuff because they just want to. Somehow they're making money off of it. Like, I don't know how they're making money, but I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all about money.
yeah,
And so because you're not getting anything else out of it. Um, and so I don't know. Maybe for some folks like Stephen Miller, it's about just being a dick.
yeah,
But like for pretty much everybody, it's about money, or
yeah,
protecting themselves. Um,
yeah.
but I mean, like, in Australia, do you know about what do you know about Portland?
I know quite a bit about Portland. Yeah, I've seen
Okay,
Portland. Yeah,
okay. So from the South, I
great
don't
city
know
to
too
visit.
much about
Yeah,
Portland, right? We we get we hear things about Western cities in California, and it's just like you hear stuff when you're kids, right? But I will tell you that the one thing that is generally tossed around about Portland it is it's like the most timid,
yeah,
like hippie city there is,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
There are people in like there was a person in a unicorn costume dancing in the street,
yeah. I saw that.
right?
Yeah,
That is about as
yeah,
like chill as you can get. Like,
yeah,
and so if you're telling me that those
yeah,
people are at war, we
yeah,
have a problem with how your eyes work.
yeah,
Because to me, that's
yeah,
just funny. I just want
yeah.
to. I mean, I like Portland's. It's not known for being the violent city. It's known for being the
Oh
weird,
no, yeah, I
like
know.
the weird, different city, eccentric city.
Yeah, I know. So I know a little bit about Portland, Oregon and stuff. It's probably a little bit like where I grew up in Sydney, which is like alternative, had a real big coffee culture, very inner
Yeah,
city sort of stuff. So
yeah. I mean,
I always,
I've
yeah,
neher been that way, unfortunately. Furthest
yeah,
I closest I got was Las Vegas.
yeah. So I have heard where I grew up is similar to Portland, but I would say that the interesting thing is that Trump tried to call one of the governors of Portland, and when they're having a discussion, apparently the governor, Trump said to the governor there, said, I've been seeing all these images of Portland being basically on fire and
Yeah,
fights and stuff like that," and she said, I think you've been watching Fox News where they're showing reruns of the 2020 BLM riots, because they did have a little bit there, right, in the
yeah,
2020.
yeah. No,
And
I
so
think they're still
he,
doing it.
yeah, and so he's watching. So either this is the thing with Trump. I Whenever I think he's doing it, I think there's always two parts to Trump. I think there is a real stupidity to him, where I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised if he wasn't falling for the whole. And it could be someone like Stephen Miller behind it. Stephen Miller's like putting stuff into his head, going, "Yeah, here's a bunch of here's a bunch of images from Portland, and this was just 2 days ago, but really it was like 4 years ago, right?"
yeah,
And I wouldn't be surprised if he fell for that. And Trump would use that as an excuse to go in there. Um, but I do think part of it is he does actually believe some of this stuff about that Portland is on fire, that it's a war
yeah,
zone and stuff like that. I think he's being manipulated, or wants to be manipulated by people around him. And I think one of the biggest players there has to be Stephen Miller,
yeah. Oh,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
if
Well, I
you
think
listen
he's
to
the
what
one doing
Stephen Miller
everything.
says when he's not around Trump, he's basically saying everything Trump is saying, but he's saying it in a more sort of intelligent way. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it's just it's crazy that you would have a president who's looking at footage from 4 or 5 years ago and thinks
Mhm.
that's happening right now. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. So like,
yeah,
my dad before he died,
yeah,
like he had a lot of mini strokes, right?
yeah,
Um, for years of it, and they were just and
yeah,
and I didn't really recognize it as time went along because it was incremental. But over time, each time you lose a little bit more,
yeah,
right? It's slowly picking it apart.
yeah,
Now he's clear, like, okay, I won't say clearly,
yeah,
um, but your face don't sag like that, and when you're asleep, if you
yeah,
didn't have a stroke, that just is not a natural thing.
yeah,
My wife told me there's like one other condition that causes it, and I
yeah,
was like, if people can tell me what that condition is,
yeah,
um, cool, but I don't think they know what that is. It's
yeah,
it had to be a stroke. Um, so like, but when that happens, right, when you start
yeah,
seeing it that bad, that means there's stuff in top that's not working right at all. And
yeah,
what we are seeing in front of us, you know, is not necessarily what's actually. I don't know how much of him's actually left in there. Is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
Like because there's it's real easy to prop him up and get him to say whatever he wants. He's always wanted to be on TV, right?
yeah,
If you then just do that and then replay the TV show of him on it, he'll just sit there and watch it,
yeah,
right? Like he doesn't have to do anything. I mean, he
yeah,
could be, but we don't know because no one is telling the truth at
yeah,
all whatsoever. Ever. All they're doing is yelling about, how awful
yeah,
everybody else is.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
because we don't agree with them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, look,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's hard to know. And look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much whether he's just believing bullshit because he's watching Fox News or he's being told something or he's
Yeah.
deliberately lying. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
someone like that shouldn't be present for either one of those reasons. Like,
100%
yeah.
should
So
no longer have his job for any longer amount of time.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
like
And there's definitely a
that's
massive difference
he's not.
between this Trump and the Trump from the first. If you watch Trump from the
Yeah,
initial
there
in
is
2020, there is a massive difference in how he
big.
looks, how he talks, how he everything. It's yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Well,
quite
and
startling.
even I mean,
Yeah,
I'll give you even last time he could hold a conversation and stay
yeah,
on a topic. He still was lying about stuff,
yeah,
but he was at least, his lies were in a straight line-ish.
yeah,
As time has gone along, it's just come further and further apart. And now I mean, now he's when is the last time he's talked about any kind of real policy of anything in any way? Right?
no,
He talks about giving healthcare to immigrants, which doesn't happen.
yeah,
There's I mean, like, there's lots of, well, okay, he was talking about giving a bailout to farmers. We've got no idea. Oh, I don't know how
yeah,
that's going to work.
yeah,
Asked about habeas corpus. So I don't know. I don't know. Ask Christie. Everything
yeah,
he's asked about is I don't know, or I don't, like he never answers it. He never does anything. He never answers anything.
yeah.
And so it's just like he's not doing the job anyway. I mean, it is a job,
No, and
right?
the thing, it's like
That's the thing that makes me the craziest is like
yeah,
I don't care what party you're from,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
If the guy's got a job to do and he's not doing it, and if
yeah.
he doesn't want to do the job, then let somebody else do it,
Do the
like
job.
just so that it at least gets done, and
Yeah,
it's not nothing is happening,
yeah,
because not only is he breaking everything, literally nothing ever gets fixed.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, the other day, so I still think like a lot of it is he's losing his mind a bit, but I still think he's
Yeah,
a lot of some of it is still he knows what he's doing. Like
yeah.
the other day when they asked him because Ghislaine Maxwell apparently has been asking for a pardon,
Oh
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
asked him like, "What do you think about?" And he straight away did his usual like, "Oh, I haven't heard
I
that
hadn't
name in a
heard that
while."
name. Yeah,
It's like, well, they've been mentioning her name a lot in the last 6 months, but in that case, I actually think he does, but he's deliberately lying.
yeah.
He, he
So sometimes he's there.
yeah,
You're not
sometimes
wrong. Sometimes he's there. It's not, but it's not like it used to be. He was always there. He was
yeah,
just an asshole.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Now it's just like, oh,
yeah,
there's some asshole in there,
yeah,
but a lot of it just kind of doesn't make any sense. I feel. I mean, like it's
mm,
they talked about, oh, what they're doing with Biden is elder abuse, but it's like,
Yeah.
dude, like I kind of want to know. You should take him to the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, and I like, I don't, he's dick, but like, you shouldn't
Yeah.
be parading around an 80-year-old guy whose brain's all messed up. The more you do that, the faster you're gonna kill him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want him around longer, you probably ought to take him to the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
so like it's I don't understand how they've built this world up on all of these like just premises that make no sense or built
Yeah.
entirely on lies. And
Yeah.
so at some point it falls down. It's just when,
Yeah.
because nothing seems to be able to penetrate their whatever it is, their
Yeah.
skulls, I guess, their brains, I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
What do you think of JD Vance? Because for me, JD Vance seems like kind of, you know, a more sort of together, intelligent version of what Trump would like to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
feel like he's kind of like the worst of the MAGA movement. But
yeah,
he at the same time, he has a lot of the support from a lot of the big tech billionaires. They seem to love him a lot.
yeah,
So I feel like in some ways he's a bigger threat to America than Trump is, because Trump's
yeah,
Trump being so crazy can
yeah.
in a way, like, if you don't mean some of the things
Keep
that you're doing,
yeah,
but if you deliberately know what you're doing and you're being, it's a bit more psychopathic, you know what I mean? Like, it's with
yeah,
Jake
yeah,
Vance. Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
he could
yeah,
get,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he could get away with more than Trump could. Yeah.
He would definitely get away with more.
Yeah.
And he would actually get like worse crap accomplished.
Yes.
But the thing about that is like,
Yeah.
um, you get held to account when you actually get bad stuff accomplished,
Yeah.
right? Whereas if all you do is never do anything
Yeah.
and then just talk about how everything you did was good,
Yeah.
right? Then no one ever, really can connect the two.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about him in terms of
Yeah.
how he might behave,
Yeah.
mostly because he seems to match his behavior to the situation he's placed in.
Yeah.
Um, and like, uh, we called those people posers in high school.
Yeah.
However, I will say that I would rather a conscious, non dementia, whatever his problem is,
Yeah.
brain be at least trying to do the job than somebody else,
Yeah.
if for no other reason, then like there's a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
so I wrote a thing not too long ago to JD Vance. I was like, now's your chance, man. Like
Yeah.
like kick him out and you can
Yeah.
fix everything really freaking easy by just throwing those tariffs away,
Yeah.
and everybody will love you.
Yeah.
Right? I won't necessarily.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's so many things he could do that would be all he'd have to do is cancel the tariffs,
Yeah.
get China on the phone, like literally five different things he could do, and it would turn everything around. He'd look amazing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody would love him.
Yeah.
But the longer he sits there and just waits on the old guy to burn everything down, I mean, at a
Yeah.
point, it's going to get to be like, well, you just let that happen,
Yeah.
right? Like, why didn't you stop it before you knew that was coming, right? So
Yeah.
he's gonna miss his chance there. But like I said, I'd rather have a real person doing the job
Yeah.
than whatever the hell this is.
Yeah. Well,
This
the
is a
way,
bad television show I didn't sign up for.
yeah, because it's Trump's reality TV show. But the
Yeah,
thing I think
yeah,
about with JD Vance refuses to even budge against, like, push back against Trump at all. Like, there's very little of it. He just defends him,
yeah,
and it reminds me
yeah,
of like when Kamala Harris was asked, "What would you have done differently?"
yeah,
Right? And couldn't answer that, and that was like a big
yeah,
thing. It was like, well,
yeah.
why should we vote for you? You know, and it was kind of like she should have answered. As actually, she said in her
She
book,
should have.
I should have answered that question,
Yeah,
and I should have distanced myself a little bit from him because
mm,
but JD Vance is going to have the same problem, because
yeah. He is.
if Trump becomes even more unpopular, and he at the end of it didn't distance himself from it, he's kind of basically he won't be able to get out of that. People might
No,
want an
no,
outsider who was against Trump to come in and do that. You know,
yeah,
um, although I have to say that about 91% of Republicans they like Trump. So I
yeah.
don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
so this is my advice to all of the Republicans, right?
yeah,
The faster you go ahead and take care of the guy who
mm,
is literally causing you all the heartache,
mm,
right? The easier it's going to be to convince people that you know what you're doing and
yeah,
you can fix things and it wasn't your fault.
yeah,
Because right now, right, if so I mean like you want to put the Epstein files away for a minute,
mm,
get rid of him,
yeah,
right? Because then things turn right back on, right? Oh
yeah,
well, then we don't have to talk about that. We got to talk about this now. He's not a problem. Vance, now I don't know all of Vance's stories,
yeah,
but unless
yeah,
Epstein had a fancy couch, he isn't in those
yeah,
files, right?
yeah,
So like he's not that. That makes that go away. Sure, Democrats want to know about it, but we don't have to talk about it right now
yeah,
because Trump's not in charge anymore. It's this
yeah,
guy, and so like there's tons of different things that all they have to do
yeah,
is just give up the one guy,
yeah,
right? The one guy who's causing everybody trouble and has
yeah,
no idea what he is doing, right?
yeah,
All you got to do is say no, he's wrong, and
yeah,
and and Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's she sees that.
yeah,
Like she's going out there and saying these people shouldn't have to pay more money. She's
yeah,
saying the
yeah,
stuff she should to distance herself
yeah,
from him
yeah,
because she knows that that will, for the Republican people in her district, that will make her more popular because everybody's seeing him go down.
yeah, yeah,
And nobody's happy. Like, ain't nobody got any money or anything.
yeah,
And so, like, the sooner you give it up, the better off you're going to be. The more you just let him just do, he's just setting everybody up for more crimes and more
yeah,
problems every single day because they have to
yeah.
cover for him. Every time you get a lie for him, you're just setting
Yeah,
yourself up.
I mean, yeah,
I
because
mean, like, come on,
because
self interest.
he demands complete loyalty from him.
Yeah,
they're all going to become complicit in the end.
exactly.
You
Yeah, I
you
mean, he's just criming them all up more as much as he
you
can.
can't say this whole thing of Jake Tapper and all that. Like, who knew that Biden was like declining? Who knew? We need to know who knew. Well, we need to know who knew that Trump was really this crazy. That Trump was
Yeah,
had all these, that he wasn't going to release the Epstein files. That he was going to do complete terrorists on every. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
you can throw back that question onto them about
yeah.
you about Trump. Because a lot of the stuff that he's doing is complete overreach to what he said, in during that
Oh
election.
yeah,
And
yeah.
a lot of people in higher positions like the media and that, they actually, or even some centrists who backed him, um, they said that he won't do any of that stuff. Even some of the things he did say
Hmm.
that before the election, they said no, he just says things, but he doesn't really mean it. And I kind of understand why they said that because in 2016 he did say a lot of things, but didn't end up doing it because
Yeah,
he didn't surround himself with loyalists back then. So
yeah,
he was in a way made to be a bit more normal during that
yeah.
period. But he got rid of all those people, and now it's like loyalists. So
Oh, I would take 2016 Trump any day.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah,
Any
yeah,
day.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
at least like a couple of actual generals who knew what they were doing.
yeah,
A
exactly. Yeah,
couple of a couple of people who still had brains and
yeah.
ah,
I think we
the
saw
good
the
old days.
real Trump in January 6th after the election. That's when the real
Oh
Trump
yeah.
came out, where he refused to accept the election results, and that's when the Trump. Because a lot of people up until then were like, "Oh, people just upset about his mean tweets." You know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
he was governing like an establishment type person because
He was.
even
Yeah.
this Cheney they were voting together like 95% of the time. Uh,
Yep.
but then after that, it was like Trump, unchanged. So it was like
Yeah.
the real Trump. Yeah, yeah,
Well, see, so that was the thing is like everybody had the immediate correct reaction. Liz Cheney, like
yeah,
what's his name? McCarthy.
yeah,
Um Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell, everybody immediately
yeah,
denounced it, right?
yeah,
No reason to riot in the thing. And then 2 weeks later, hey, Trump's fine.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the moment they just gave up to him and went
yeah,
right back to him,
Yeah.
right? All that then now he's got him, right?
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants, and they'll never say anything bad about it because you don't get much worse than that,
Yeah.
right? Like it, that's that. I remember that day because I was like not in a place where I could really watch TV,
Yeah.
and I was hearing about it, and I remember
Yeah.
just thinking, why have they not like just basically started mowing these people down at this point because they're overrunning the building,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Thank God they haven't started shooting because they would freaking kill
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And it's like that. Then 2 weeks later, it's okay,
Yeah.
and like he
Yeah.
doesn't need to be impeached for that, even though there's only
Yeah.
2 weeks left in his term. No, he should be impeached for that immediately, right?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty obvious what he did. Y'all just
Yeah.
don't want to say it because you're gonna hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Too
Exactly.
bad,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And that was the
Like
weirdest part.
that's the thing is like I'm not about protecting an 80-year-old man's ego.
No. That was the weirdest part, watching January 6th and watching all these people, like even JD Vance and all these people come out and say, basically, say that he was basically like almost like Trump's, like America's Hitler, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And but then watching slowly them coming back to him, that's the
yep.
power of Trump. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where you see where Trump is kind of has more charisma and power than people realize because
I think it's
I
money.
I think if you
Like,
ask people after January 6th, even Fox News were coming out against him, you know what I mean? They were distancing
oh yeah, it was everybody because it
it
was
was everybody.
ridiculous.
I think if you asked
It was all pretty obvious.
Trump was gonna come back in and win an election, people would have thought you were nuts. They would have thought there's no
Yeah.
way that's the end of Trump and all that. But because he knew how to play the system and he played the long game, he didn't play the short
Hmm.
game, he played the long game. And inflation obviously helped that because, people were like, he tried to tell people, oh, the economy was great when I was around and now there's inflation. People have short term memory. And a lot of people
Yeah,
don't
they
follow
forgot about the
most
disease that was still running rampant.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an amazing thing to watch someone go from January 6th to being elected 4 years later. Is just one of the
Mm.
most insane things I've ever seen.
He I mean, he never should have been allowed to even run.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, that's
yeah,
literally in the Constitution. Colorado denied him, and
yeah,
his Supreme Court, because 3 out of the freaking 9 of them were appointed by him, said it was fine,
yeah,
right? Like he's I mean, like, I won't it's illegitimate in the first place if,
yeah,
if you disqualify when you started, right?
yes,
That's just the beginning of the problems.
yeah,
I mean, it's they quite literally will just let him do whatever and then
yeah,
make up a lie to match it.
yes,
And no one ever sees that as a problem
yeah,
because, you know, so long as this one 80-year-old man is happy,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Everybody
right,
else
yeah,
can
yeah,
everybody else be fine. Well, I'll be
yeah,
fine,
yeah,
right? Just make him happy and everybody else be fine. I mean,
yeah,
like personally, I don't I care about people. I don't care about people that much, right?
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
try to make everybody happy, especially
yes.
not him.
No,
Um,
that's true. Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. Like it's just like
yeah.
this obsession around sort of Trump and his life and things like that. Um, well, Craig, I'm sorry, but I have to go now. I've got
Oh no,
like
this has been good, dude. This has been fun. I think we went over what we
yeah,
were
I've
talking
really
about.
enjoyed talking to you again. I want to do it again sometime as well because I really enjoyed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So do you have anything? Have you got any articles coming out soon or anything like
Uh,
that? Yeah,
I've got some stuff I might post soon
yeah,
about. I had a, as I mentioned, I've got my idea for autism stuff
yeah,
to
yeah,
counteract what RFK Junior was talking about.
yeah,
I don't know exactly. I'll finish that soon. I think I know what was left of that. I think that's there was something else. There's a few other things that I might post
yeah.
as I think about them. Oh,
Well,
I was gonna I do have an idea about I'm basically just gonna explain I've got a little story to tell about how I wound up on Substack with something that
yeah.
was relevant to something else, and so I might write that up at some point
Well,
soon. But yeah, always stuff.
everyone watching this should subscribe to Craig Christ.
Yes,
PhD.
please, please,
Yeah,
please do.
yeah. please do subscribe to him. I love your notes and your articles and stuff, Craig. I've always been a big fan. So
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you. Appreciate
yeah,
it. I'm a big fan of yours, man. I like doing this. It's good to have,
yeah,
it's good to know that there's somebody that exists in the world,
yeah,
where it's still kind of normal,
yeah, yeah.
except you guys have giant spiders. So
We
I
do
don't know
have
if how
giant
normal that
spiders,
is.
and
I don't
we
know how normal that is,
also,
but
yeah,
normal
yeah,
enough.
with giant spiders, steroid taking
I'd
kangaroos.
take
Um,
that. I'd take that at this point.
it's a,
Yeah. Now it's just about getting the plane ride over there.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
As
that's
soon
the
as I
scary
figure
thing.
that part out, I'll just
Yeah,
get on a boat. I'll be there in a
just
few
get a
months.
boat. Just get a boat.
Yeah.
Get a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
All right,
right.
man. I appreciate it, dude.
Great.
This has been fun.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone,
Yeah.
for
Thanks, you
joining in
guys.
the chat. I really appreciated that. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.